The sun rose slowly over the endless plains, painting the sky in soft oranges and golds. Dust swirled gently in the morning breeze, carrying the scent of dry grass and earth. Jonas Callan squinted at the horizon, the brim of his worn hat shading his eyes. Another day had begun on his ranch, far from the nearest town or neighbor. Life here was simple, harsh, and lonely. But Jonas had long since accepted it. This was his home, his land, and his responsibility. Jonas walked down the path to check on the livestock, his boots kicking up small clouds of dust with each step. The animals had been acting strangely lately. Some of the cows seemed restless, pacing in circles or staring at nothing. Even the goats, usually energetic and stubborn, appeared unusually calm, almost frozen. Jonas frowned. The weather had been normal, and nothing in the land had changed, as far as he could see. Yet, something about this morning felt off. As he approached the southern field, he noticed one of his cows standing completely still. Its head was lowered, ears twitching, but its body didn't move at all. At first, Jonas thought it was sick or had hurt a leg. He called out softly, "Hey Bess, come on now." But there was no reaction. The cow didn't move, didn't blink, and didn't even seem to breathe. Jonas stepped closer, concern growing in his chest. Then he noticed it. He couldn't take another step. His boots pressed into the earth, but the ground didn't give way. It was as if the soil itself had gripped his feet, holding him in place. Panic bubbled inside him. Jonas tugged at his boots, lifted his legs, leaned back, but nothing worked. The earth was firm, unyielding, almost alive in its strength. "What in the world?" he muttered, trying to sound calm but failing. He dropped to his knees, placing his hands on the soil. His fingers pressed into the dirt, searching for a root or stone. Something to explain this strange grip, but the soil was soft, almost normal, except for the odd vibration beneath his fingertips. It was faint, like a humming song that resonated in his bones. Jonas's heart raced. He had lived on this land all his life and never felt anything like it. Carefully, he knelt down, brushing the topsoil away. His fingers hit something hard. Metal, cold, smooth, and perfectly round, buried just beneath the surface. He froze, staring at it. It was impossible, or so he thought. Nothing like this belonged on his ranch. Not a machine, not a device, nothing. Yet here it was, partially hidden in the dirt, humming faintly under his touch. He dug around it carefully, his curiosity overcoming fear. The object was circular, about the size of a dinner plate, and covered in a thin layer of moss-like growth that shimmered slightly in the sunlight. It felt alive, almost pulsing in time with his heartbeat. Jonas's rough hands traced the edges, wondering how it could have ended up buried in the middle of his field. A sudden click echoed from the device. Jonas jerked back, startled, but his eyes widened in amazement. The surface of the object shimmered, then projected a small, glowing holographic map into the air. It hovered, spinning slowly, showing his ranch, the surrounding plains, and points beyond that he had never seen before. Some locations were abandoned, marked with strange symbols, while others glowed with a faint, pulsing light. Jonas rubbed his eyes. "Am I losing my mind?" he whispered. But the map didn't disappear. Every detail was clear, precise. It wasn't just a map, it seemed to be alive, responding to his gaze. He leaned closer, noticing that some areas flickered, as if inviting him to explore. One point in particular caught his eye. A bright, steady glow pulsed just a few miles from his ranch, labeled in symbols he didn't understand. A small caption appeared in human letters. The source. His mind raced. He had heard stories of strange things buried in the land, old alien ruins, hidden machinery left by long-gone civilizations, but he had always dismissed them. They were legends, not reality. And yet, here it was, right beneath his hands. Jonas felt a mixture of fear and excitement. This discovery could change everything. For hours, he studied the device. He poked at the holographic map, testing how it worked. Each movement of his hand caused the map to adjust, zoom in or out, and highlight different points. He realized something incredible. It responded to human logic. The patterns on the device aligned with his thoughts. When he focused on a particular area, the light grew brighter. When he tried to isolate a symbol, it shifted to show more detail. Jonas's mind was alive with questions. Who had buried this? Why here, in his field? And most importantly, what did the source mean? The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows over the plains. But Jonas didn't notice. He was too absorbed in the pulsing device. For the first time in years, the monotony of ranch life was gone, replaced by a thrill he hadn't felt since he was a boy exploring the woods near his old home. Suddenly, a low vibration ran through the ground. Jonas stumbled back, his heart pounding. The device hummed louder now, almost as if it recognized his hesitation. He reached out instinctively, and the vibration stopped. The map adjusted, highlighting a small path leading toward the glowing point. It was as if the device was guiding him, urging him to follow. Jonas looked down at his feet again. The ground that had held him was now just normal dirt, soft and yielding. Whatever force had trapped him earlier had vanished, leaving only the device and the map. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves. "All right," he muttered to himself. "Let's see where this leads." He packed a small bag with essentials: water, a flashlight, his pocket knife, and some food. He placed the device carefully in his jacket pocket, feeling its warmth against his side. Every step toward the glowing point filled him with a mixture of fear and anticipation. The plains stretched endlessly before him. But Jonas felt for the first time that he wasn't alone. Something, or someone, had been waiting. As he walked, he noticed subtle changes in the land. The grass seemed greener, the soil more fertile. Even the air felt different, heavier with energy. Birds circled above, silent and still, as if observing him. Jonas couldn't explain it, but he felt that the world itself was alive, watching, waiting for him to make the next move. Hours passed. The sun sank low in the sky, painting the clouds with streaks of pink and purple. Jonas finally reached a ridge overlooking a small valley. Below, a faint light glimmered, the source of the device's glow. He knelt, brushing the dirt with his hands, trying to see what lay ahead. A strange hum filled the air, vibrating through his chest. Jonas realized something incredible. He wasn't just following a map. He was being chosen. The land had hidden this secret for centuries, waiting for someone who could understand it. Someone who could think and act with human ingenuity. And now, that someone was him. For the first time in his life, Jonas felt a sense of purpose beyond the ranch, beyond daily chores, beyond the isolation of his world. He was on the brink of discovery, something incredible, something that could change his life and perhaps the future of humanity itself. He took a deep breath, adjusting his hat, and whispered to himself, "Let's see what's waiting down there." With that, Jonas began the careful descent into the unknown, unaware of the mysteries, challenges, and wonders that awaited him just beyond the valley floor. And as the last rays of sunlight vanished behind the distant mountains, the device pulsed gently in his pocket, as if whispering, "You're ready." Jonas carefully made his way down the slope of the valley, his boots sinking slightly into the soft soil. The air was different here, cooler, with a faint metallic tang that made him wrinkle his nose. The hum from the device in his pocket grew stronger with every step. It wasn't loud, but it vibrated through his body, a gentle reminder that something extraordinary lay ahead. He stopped for a moment and looked around. The valley was small but uneven, filled with strange-looking rocks that glowed faintly under the setting sun. Tiny plants, unlike anything he had seen on the plains, sprouted from the ground. Their leaves shimmered with a silvery light, almost like they were reflecting the last rays of the sun. Jonas knelt down, curious. When he touched the leaves, a warm tingle ran through his fingers. "Okay, this is definitely not normal," he muttered, brushing dirt off his hands. He followed the faint glow that stretched ahead like a trail, leading him toward the center of the valley. As he got closer, he noticed a small mound, partially hidden under vines and dirt. The device pulsed again, stronger this time, as if urging him to investigate. Jonas knelt and started brushing away the vegetation carefully. The more dirt he removed, the more he realized this was no ordinary mound. Beneath the soil lay a metallic surface, smooth and circular, half buried in the earth. Jonas's breath caught in his throat. It looked similar to the device he had found in his field, but much larger, maybe the size of a small wagon wheel. Strange symbols were etched into its surface, glowing faintly in rhythm with the hum. The patterns shifted slightly as he stared, almost like they were alive. He traced the edges with his fingers, feeling the cold metal beneath the dirt. "What is this thing?" he whispered to himself. He couldn't imagine how something like this could exist here, in the middle of his ranch. It was impossible, yet it was real. Jonas took out his pocket knife and carefully chipped away at the soil, revealing more of the device. As soon as he cleared a small section, the symbols brightened. Then, without warning, the metal moved. Not like a machine starting up, but like the surface itself was shifting, rearranging the symbols into new patterns. Jonas jumped back, his heart pounding. This is alive," he whispered. He felt a mix of fear and awe. He had read about advanced alien technology in old stories, but he had never imagined seeing it firsthand. And yet, here it was, responding to him, to his presence, maybe even to his thoughts. Taking a deep breath, Jonas crouched and pressed his palm against the metal. The moment his skin touched the surface, the symbols changed again, forming shapes he could almost understand. Lines connected points, forming a network that stretched far beyond the mound. A faint light shot from the device, projecting a three-dimensional map of the valley and beyond. It showed more than just his ranch. It extended for miles, revealing hidden structures beneath the earth. Jonas's eyes widened. These weren't just symbols, they were a guide. The device was trying to show him something, leading him somewhere. And the pulsing point on the map was the brightest of all. Whatever it represented, it was important. He examined the map closely. There were tunnels, chambers, and nodes marked along the way. Some were labeled with symbols he couldn't decipher. But one point stood out. A glowing spot directly beneath his feet, labeled simply as core. The device seemed to suggest that this was the heart of the mechanism, the source of the hum that had captured his attention in the first place. Jonas felt a shiver run down his spine. His ranch had always been ordinary, a simple patch of land he had inherited from his father. And yet, now he realized he had been sitting on top of something extraordinary for years. The thought made him dizzy. He crouched lower, examining the edge of the metallic surface. It had small depressions, almost like keyholes, but the shapes were irregular, not like anything he had seen on Earth. He ran his fingers over them, trying to understand. The device in his pocket pulsed again, as if approving his touch. Slowly, almost instinctively, Jonas pressed the symbols in a sequence that felt natural. At first, nothing happened. Then the ground beneath him trembled slightly. Tiny lights flickered across the metallic surface, forming intricate patterns. A low hum began to fill the valley, growing louder and more melodic, vibrating in a rhythm that matched Jonas's heartbeat. Suddenly, a section of the metal shifted upward, sliding smoothly to the side, and revealing a narrow tunnel leading down into darkness. Jonas froze, his mind racing. The tunnel was not very wide, maybe just enough for him to crawl through. From within, a faint, golden light glimmered, and the hum of the device grew stronger, almost welcoming him. Jonas took a deep breath and peered into the tunnel. The air smelled different here, cleaner, slightly electric, and oddly refreshing. He had no idea what he would find down there, but he knew he had to see it. The device in his pocket pulsed one last time. As if giving him permission, he adjusted his bag, checked his flashlight, and carefully climbed into the tunnel. The walls were smooth and cool, glowing faintly with the same golden light he had seen from the entrance. As he moved deeper, he noticed strange markings etched into the walls, glowing softly, as if reacting to his presence. They weren't just decorations, they seemed to communicate something, though Jonas couldn't understand what. The hum grew louder as he went deeper, vibrating through the metal walls and into his bones. Jonas realized he was not just walking down a tunnel, he was entering the heart of something alive, something ancient and intelligent. The thought made him nervous, but he also felt a strange sense of excitement. This was what humans were meant to do: explore, understand, and uncover mysteries no one else could. After what felt like an hour, the tunnel opened into a large chamber. The ceiling arched high above, covered with the same glowing patterns Jonas had seen on the surface. In the center of the chamber lay a massive, circular platform, covered with symbols and lines that pulsed rhythmically. It was much larger than anything he had ever imagined, at least 20 feet across. Jonas stepped closer, and the moment he touched the platform, the symbols shifted again, forming patterns that resembled constellations. The room vibrated softly, and a low, melodic voice filled his mind, not in words, but in images and feelings. He saw flashes of stars, planets, and civilizations. The chamber was a kind of library, a storage of knowledge from an ancient race that had once walked these stars. Jonas staggered back, overwhelmed. The device in his pocket pulsed wildly, projecting a new hologram above the platform. It highlighted nodes, pathways, and chambers, showing him where to go next. One node in particular pulsed brighter than the others. It seemed to call to him, promising answers and secrets beyond his understanding. He took a deep breath, steadying himself. This was no ordinary discovery. He was standing at the center of a network that stretched across the planet, built by a civilization far more advanced than humanity, and somehow, it had chosen him to find it. Jonas realized the truth. This was just the beginning. The ranch, his home, the ordinary life he had lived, it was all a preparation for this moment. His curiosity, his patience, his willingness to explore and adapt had brought him here. He had unlocked the first layer of an ancient mechanism, and it had responded to him. For hours, he explored the chamber, touching symbols, following pathways, and studying the glowing maps. Every new discovery felt alive, almost as if the technology itself was aware of him. He realized that brute force or strength would not open the secrets here. Only human ingenuity, patience, and thought could unlock it. By the time Jonas finally rested, the first light of dawn was creeping into the chamber from the tunnel entrance. He sat on the edge of the platform, staring at the glowing maps, feeling the weight of what he had discovered. The valley outside might have seemed ordinary to anyone else, but he now knew it was extraordinary. The device in his pocket pulsed one last time as if confirming his thoughts. Jonas smiled, a mix of pride, wonder, and anticipation. The adventure had only just begun, but he felt ready. Whatever lay ahead, he knew that humanity's greatest strength, curiosity, intelligence, and courage would guide him. And as the sun rose over the valley, bathing the chamber in soft golden light, Jonas realized something incredible. He was not just exploring an ancient mechanism. He was awakening it. The golden light in the chamber seemed to pulse with Jonas's heartbeat as he took a careful step forward. The vast, circular platform beneath him was no longer just a surface. It felt alive, almost like it was watching him. The patterns and symbols shifted subtly as he moved, forming paths and networks that glimmered faintly. Jonas knelt, tracing one line with his finger, feeling a vibration pass through him. It wasn't frightening, it was inviting. He took a deep breath, steadying himself. "Okay, Jonas," he whispered to no one. "Let's see what's down there." The tunnel he had entered from the valley floor led further downward, branching into several smaller passages. Each branch glowed differently, some with a warm amber light, others with a cooler, almost icy blue. The device in his pocket pulsed stronger with every step, reacting to his choices and pointing him toward the amber-lit path. The tunnel walls were smooth, metallic, and strangely warm to the touch. Small grooves ran along the surface, forming intricate designs that glimmered when Jonas ran his hand along them. He noticed that the grooves were not random, they resembled constellations, some of which he recognized from the night sky back on Earth. His pulse quickened. Whoever had built this chamber had knowledge far beyond human understanding. Yet, somehow, the technology seemed designed to respond to human thought and problem-solving. Jonas crouched as he followed the narrow passage deeper. Tiny lights flickered in the walls, showing him symbols he didn't understand at first. But then he realized something astonishing. The symbols reacted to his emotions and intentions. When he hesitated, the lights dimmed. When he decided to move forward with purpose, they brightened. His mind raced with questions. How could technology recognize intent? How could it understand a human being? The tunnel widened into a larger chamber, taller and grander than the first. A soft hum filled the air, vibrating through Jonas's bones. The walls glowed with swirling patterns, and the floor had circular indentations similar to the platform above. In the center lay a large console, built from the same metal as the mound in the valley. It was covered with symbols that shifted and rearranged themselves constantly. As if alive, Jonas stepped closer, examining the symbols. Each one seemed to respond to his thoughts, lighting up as he considered touching it. He hesitated, then remembered the device in his pocket. Placing it on the console, he felt a jolt of energy, a gentle, electric vibration, and the symbols aligned into a map of the chamber below. Jonas's eyes widened. The map showed multiple chambers, some filled with machinery, others empty. One chamber glowed brighter than the rest, with a central point labeled Core, echoing the symbol from the valley map. He realized instinctively, this was the heart of the mechanism. Whatever this was, the core held the key to understanding the entire network. He crouched, tracing the pathway with his finger. The device pulsed in response, showing a route to the core. Jonas felt a thrill of excitement. This was more than discovery, it was a puzzle. And he, a simple rancher, was the one solving it. His hands, calloused from years of work, moved over the metal with careful precision, pressing symbols and tracing lines, as if the chamber itself were a living puzzle. Hours passed. Jonas moved from chamber to chamber, each step revealing more about the ancient builders. He found dormant machinery, long inactive but preserved perfectly, like it had been waiting for someone to arrive. Some machines hummed softly when he approached, responding to his presence. Others remained silent, hidden in shadows. He saw conduits running along the walls and ceiling, pulsing faintly with energy. The entire network seemed alive, a vast system designed with intelligence far beyond humanity's, yet it responded to human intuition and logic. Finally, he reached a narrow shaft leading down into darkness. The map projected from the device in his pocket indicated this was the last step before the core. Jonas paused, feeling the weight of the moment. His hands were dirty, scraped from climbing through the tunnels, and his heart raced. He shined his flashlight down the shaft, seeing a faint glow far below. The descent was steep, but a ladder carved directly into the metal walls provided a path. Jonas started down, one careful step at a time. The hum of the machinery grew louder, resonating with his heartbeat. He felt a strange sense of calm, almost as if the tunnel itself was assuring him that he was on the right path. As he descended, he noticed markings etched into the walls, alien symbols intertwined with shapes that resembled DNA strands, stars, and planets. They told a story, one he didn't yet understand, but it was clear. The builders had left a record of their knowledge here, preserved in symbols and energy. Halfway down, a soft vibration traveled through the ladder. Jonas froze. The vibration grew stronger, and a low hum filled the shaft. He realized the core was reacting to his approach. Something deep within the mechanism recognized him not as an intruder, but as a participant. It was waiting for a mind like his, someone capable of solving puzzles, reasoning through logic, and making decisions guided by curiosity and caution. When he reached the bottom, Jonas stepped into a vast chamber, larger than anything he had ever seen. The floor was covered with a lattice of glowing lines, converging toward a central structure, a tower of metal and light, pulsing rhythmically with energy. The core, it radiated warmth and light, not in a threatening way, but with the presence of intelligence and awareness. Jonas approached cautiously. The moment his hand hovered near the core, the symbols on the tower shifted. Lines of light connected, forming patterns that moved like flowing water. The hum of energy intensified, filling the chamber with a sound that was almost music. It wasn't words, it was thought, intention, and communication. Jonas realized, astonishingly, that the core was communicating with him. He took a deep breath and placed his hand on the surface of the tower. Immediately, visions filled his mind. Stars, planets, energy flows, and civilizations long gone. He understood that this core was a repository of knowledge, technology, and history, a memory of an advanced race that had once explored the universe. But it wasn't just storage. It was interactive, responsive to thought and reasoning. Jonas pulled back slightly, overwhelmed. His mind raced with possibilities. If he could understand even a fraction of this knowledge, it could revolutionize life on his ranch, his planet, and maybe even humanity. But he also felt the weight of responsibility. This was not just a tool. It was an intelligent system, capable of immense power, and it had chosen him. The device in his pocket pulsed again, projecting a new hologram over the core. It highlighted pathways, chambers, and nodes, showing him the scope of the network. Jonas realized he could manipulate the system using logic, problem-solving, and creativity. No brute force, no shortcuts, only human ingenuity would unlock its secrets. He began testing the core, pressing symbols, tracing patterns, and following instructions that seemed to appear in his mind. Each correct action caused the core to pulse brighter, illuminating more of the chamber and revealing hidden sections. Jonas marveled at the simplicity of the interface. Despite its alien origin, it relied on reasoning, observation, and patience, the very traits that made humans resilient and inventive. Hours blurred into each other. Jonas explored, experimented, and learned. The core revealed fragments of technology, energy systems, terraforming designs, and agricultural methods that could transform barren land into fertile fields. It was all extraordinary. Yet he understood that this knowledge required careful handling. Misuse could be catastrophic. By the time Jonas rested, leaning against the base of the core, he felt exhausted but exhilarated. He realized the magnitude of what he had discovered. This was no ordinary mechanism buried under his ranch. It was a bridge between the achievements of a civilization far older and more advanced than humanity and the potential of humans themselves. Jonas smiled to himself. He had always known humans were clever, adaptable, and determined. But standing here, in a chamber filled with ancient intelligence, he truly understood the power of human ingenuity. It wasn't strength or speed that mattered. It was thought, creativity, and courage. Humans had the potential to rise, to explore, and to solve problems that even advanced alien civilizations might struggle with. The core pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat, and Jonas knew it had recognized his understanding. He was no longer just a rancher. He was a participant in something extraordinary, a bridge between the ancient builders and the future of humanity. As he prepared to leave the chamber and return to the surface, Jonas felt a sense of anticipation. The core had more to teach, more to reveal, but he would take it step by step. For now, he had learned that the universe held secrets beyond imagination, and that humans, with their ingenuity and courage, were capable of rising to meet them. And as he climbed back up the ladder toward the tunnels, Jonas looked forward to the challenges ahead, unaware that the greatest revelations and dangers were still waiting for him, hidden just beyond the next chamber. Jonas took a deep breath as he stepped back from the core, the pulsing light reflecting in his wide eyes. He had explored the chambers, traced the glowing pathways, and discovered fragments of knowledge beyond human understanding. Yet, he felt there was more, a presence. Something alive, waiting for him to act. The hum of the core grew louder, resonating in the chamber and in Jonas's chest. Then, without warning, the patterns on the core shifted dramatically. Symbols formed shapes he had never seen before, geometric patterns that seemed to float above the surface, glowing and twisting in harmony. The light was not chaotic. It had purpose, rhythm, and intelligence. Jonas stepped closer, heart pounding. He realized something astonishing. The core was aware of him. "Hello?" he whispered, his voice trembling slightly. Can you understand me?" There was no reply in words, but a sensation filled his mind. A gentle, melodic vibration pulsed through him, almost like a heartbeat. Images flashed. Stars, planets, and civilizations, all moving in slow, graceful arcs. Jonas staggered back, awestruck. The core wasn't just a machine. It was sentient. It could perceive, remember, and perhaps even reason. Jonas knelt, touching the core's surface lightly. As his fingers made contact, a flood of information entered his mind. He saw glimpses of alien technology, cities built with energy instead of bricks, machines that could heal and grow living things, and devices capable of creating or shaping entire landscapes. The images were dazzling, almost overwhelming, but through it all, Jonas understood one thing clearly. This knowledge could help humanity. He pulled back, breathing hard. I don't know if I can handle this," he admitted. But the core responded again, pulsing warmly. It was as if it understood his hesitation and was encouraging him. The thought gave Jonas courage. He had faced challenges all his life: droughts, storms, stubborn animals, lonely nights on the plains, but nothing compared to this. Yet, he felt ready. The holographic projections above the core shifted again. This time, they formed a path, leading from the chamber to an even deeper level of the network. Jonas understood. The core was asking him to go further, to explore more, to learn more. He glanced back at the tunnel that had brought him here, then at the device in his pocket. It pulsed gently, as if confirming the path. Taking a deep breath, Jonas began moving toward the new passage. It narrowed at first, forcing him to crouch, then widened into a grand hallway lined with glowing conduits. The walls shimmered with flowing symbols, some familiar, some utterly alien. Yet, through them, Jonas felt the rhythm of intelligence. The core was alive, and it was guiding him. As he walked, the core's hum resonated through his mind. Suddenly, a vision appeared. A massive, slumbering construct, dormant for centuries, waiting to be awakened by a species capable of understanding its design. Jonas froze. The construct's shape was faint but unmistakable. A towering figure of metal and energy, its features both mechanical and organic. It was magnificent and intimidating, yet strangely gentle. Jonas realized the truth. This chamber, the core, the tunnels, and even the devices he had found on the surface, they were all part of a larger system. The system had been designed to test, guide, and awaken intelligence. And now, it had chosen him to awaken the construct. A wave of responsibility washed over him. If he succeeded, humanity could gain knowledge and technology beyond imagination. But if he failed, the consequences could be catastrophic. He shook the thought away. Fear was natural, but it would not stop him. He had faced fear before, in storms, in isolation, and in hardship. He could face it again. The hallway opened into a vast chamber, far larger than any he had seen. In its center lay the construct, dormant, wrapped in shadows and faintly glowing lines. It was immense, towering over Jonas like a mountain of metal and light. He stepped closer, feeling the core's pulsing energy guide him. The symbols on the floor formed a pattern, a sequence that Jonas instinctively understood. They weren't just random, they were instructions. He placed his hands on the floor, tracing the shapes and pressing the symbols in the correct order. Each movement caused the construct to hum, faint at first, then stronger, its energy pulsing like a heartbeat. Jonas paused, feeling the weight of the moment. One wrong step could trigger a failure. But the core seemed to encourage him, guiding his hands and thoughts. Slowly, deliberately, He continued the sequence, tracing lines, pressing symbols, aligning patterns. The construct responded. Its energy grew brighter, lines of light tracing its form, awakening parts that had been dormant for centuries. A soft vibration ran through the chamber. Then a low, melodic tone filled the air. Jonas stepped back, marveling at the sight. The construct was alive. Its eyes, glowing like twin stars, opened slowly. Focusing on him, he felt a presence, not hostile, but curious, intelligent, and aware. It seemed to study him, probing his mind, sensing his courage, creativity, and morality. Jonas realized something profound. This construct was sentient, capable of reasoning, and capable of recognizing the worth of a species. It wasn't just a machine to be used, it was a being to be trusted, guided, and respected. Humanity's ingenuity and morality would be the key to unlocking its potential. He spoke softly, almost reverently. I want to learn. I want to understand. I want to use this knowledge wisely. The construct responded not in words, but in thoughts, images, and sensations. It seemed to recognize his intentions and acknowledge them. Light spread through its form, illuminating the chamber. The core pulsed in harmony with the construct, as if connecting two intelligent beings. One ancient, one human, bridging civilizations. Jonas felt a thrill of awe. The core had been preparing him for this moment all along. It had guided him, tested him, and now trusted him to awaken the construct fully. He realized that this was more than technology. This was a partnership between human ingenuity and alien intelligence. Between thought and creation. Hours passed, though time seemed different in the chamber. Jonas explored the construct's capabilities, guided by the core. He learned how to manipulate energy flows, access data from ancient civilizations, and understand the principles behind technologies that could heal, grow, and reshape environments. Every new discovery reinforced a truth he had always believed. Humans, through creativity, courage, and morality, could rise to incredible heights. By the time Jonas finally stepped back from the construct, he was exhausted but exhilarated. The chamber, once dark and silent, now glowed with life. The construct's energy pulsed steadily, calm yet powerful, responding to his presence and guidance. Jonas smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment and responsibility. He had awakened something extraordinary, and in doing so, he had proven the resilience and ingenuity of the human spirit. He knew the journey was far from over. The construct, the core, and the network still held countless secrets. Yet Jonas felt ready. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he understood that human intelligence, creativity, and morality were more powerful than any fear, any obstacle, or any ancient mystery. As he prepared to leave the chamber for the first time since awakening the construct, Jonas paused. He looked back at the glowing figure, feeling its awareness like a warm, guiding presence. "Thank you," he whispered, not knowing if it could hear him. "I will not fail." The construct pulsed once more, in harmony with the core, as if acknowledging his promise. Jonas turned toward the tunnel that led back to the surface, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. Humanity had been tested, and the core had chosen wisely. He was ready to bring what he had learned to the world above, one careful step at a time. And as Jonas climbed the tunnels, leaving the glowing chamber behind, he realized that his life and the future of humanity would never be the same again. For the first time, he understood that human ingenuity, courage, and morality were not just traits of survival. They were the keys to greatness, capable of awakening forces even the oldest civilizations had left behind. The morning sun broke over the plains, painting the ranch in soft gold. Jonas Callan stepped out of the valley tunnels, blinking against the light. For the first time in years, he looked at his land with new eyes. It seemed the same rolling fields, sparse trees, the familiar dirt roads, but he knew it was far from ordinary now. Beneath his feet lay an ancient intelligence, a system of knowledge and power that humanity had never dreamed of. He walked slowly toward the barn, his boots stirring up small clouds of dust. The device in his pocket pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat. The core, the construct, the network of alien technology he had awakened, they were all connected. And for the first time, Jonas understood the immense responsibility that rested on him. This knowledge could help humanity or, if misused, destroy it. Jonas knelt in the field, feeling the ground beneath his hands. The soil felt richer somehow, alive with energy. Tiny shoots of plants pushed through the dirt, glowing faintly in rhythm with the device. He had not planted them. They had grown naturally, nourished by the technology below. A sense of awe filled him. His ranch, once ordinary, had become a place of wonder and possibility. He looked around at the livestock grazing peacefully. Even the animals seemed healthier, stronger, and more alert. Jonas smiled. The technology was not only intelligent, it was adaptive. It responded to life, growth, and care, enhancing what it touched without harming it. It was as if the core and the construct had recognized the potential in humans, the ability to care, nurture, and create. Over the next few days, Jonas worked tirelessly. He experimented carefully with the technology, guided by the core and the construct. He learned to use energy flows to enrich the soil, improve irrigation, and grow crops faster and healthier than ever before. Streams of water redirected themselves naturally across his fields, nourishing every plant. The livestock thrived, and even the land itself seemed to hum with life. Jonas realized that he was witnessing a profound truth. Human ingenuity combined with ethical action could harness power responsibly. The alien technology was extraordinary, but it required thought, care, and understanding. Brute force or greed would not unlock its potential. Only humans, with creativity and moral judgment, could activate it fully. He thought of his neighbors, the small communities scattered across the plains. They would never believe what he had found, and yet, he knew that this discovery was bigger than any one person or one ranch. It was a gift, a challenge, and an opportunity for humanity as a whole. Jonas began planning carefully, mapping out how to share the knowledge responsibly. Step by step, one evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Jonas stood atop a small ridge overlooking his land. The fields glowed faintly, pulsing in harmony with the device. A soft hum filled the air, blending with the sounds of wildlife. And then he saw it faint, glowing lines spreading across neighboring lands. The core and the construct had begun to extend their influence. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but the potential was immense. Humanity was no longer alone in its development. Jonas felt a surge of hope. The technology wasn't taking over. It was responding to humans, to their creativity, courage, and morality. This was a partnership, not domination. And it confirmed something Jonas had always believed. Humans, through ingenuity and ethical action, could rise to meet challenges that seemed impossible. He returned to the barn, where his tools and equipment were scattered. The device pulsed warmly in his pocket, as if guiding him. Jonas set to work, creating simple prototypes using the technology. He experimented with energy transfer, water purification, and soil enrichment, carefully observing the effects. Every success reinforced a truth that filled him with pride. Humans could learn, adapt, and improve the world around them, even using knowledge far beyond their previous understanding. Weeks passed, and the changes on his ranch became undeniable. Crops grew taller, livestock thrived, and the land itself seemed more vibrant. Jonas even discovered that he could influence weather patterns in small ways, drawing on the core's energy network to bring gentle rains when needed. The ranch had become a model of harmony between human ingenuity and alien intelligence. Jonas realized that the discovery had changed him. He was no longer just a rancher. He was a pioneer, a bridge between the ordinary and the extraordinary. He had faced fear, uncertainty, and the unknown. And he had succeeded, not through force, but through thought, patience, and courage. This was humanity's greatest strength, the ability to adapt, reason, and rise to challenges. One night, Jonas stood outside, gazing at the stars. The core and the construct pulsed faintly beneath the ground, invisible but ever-present. He thought about the future, about the possibilities this technology could offer not just to him, but to all humans willing to act wisely and creatively. He imagined thriving communities, fertile lands, clean energy, and knowledge that could transform lives. The core had chosen him not because he was strong, but because he embodied the traits that humans were capable of: curiosity, ingenuity, and morality. A sudden glow appeared on the horizon. Jonas squinted and saw faint, structured lights emerging on neighboring lands. The core and construct were extending their reach, responding to his efforts, but also testing others. The future was beginning, and humanity had been given a chance to rise, to explore, and to grow in ways they had never imagined. Jonas felt a profound sense of purpose. The discovery was no longer just about the ranch, it was about humanity's potential. The lessons he had learned in the tunnels, with the core and the construct, were clear. Knowledge must be coupled with responsibility. Creativity must be guided by ethics, and courage must be paired with wisdom. Only then could humans rise to meet the challenges of the universe. Over time, Jonas began sharing his knowledge with trusted neighbors. He guided them carefully, teaching them how to work with the technology without overwhelming it. Together, they improved farms, purified water, and nurtured crops, creating a small network of thriving communities. Word spread slowly, and those who listened learned that humans could harness power responsibly, solving problems not through force, but through understanding. Jonas often returned to the core, exploring new chambers, discovering new functions, and learning more about the ancient builders. Every day, he marveled at the complexity and intelligence of the system. And every day, he was reminded of humanity's own potential. The core had awakened him, but in turn, he had proven that humans could rise to the challenge. One evening, standing atop the ridge once more, Jonas looked out over the glowing plains. The ranch, once ordinary, now pulsed with life and energy. The core and construct were present, guiding, teaching, and responding, but always allowing humans to act, decide, and grow. Jonas smiled, realizing the truth. Humans were not just survivors, they were creators, problem solvers, and innovators. They had the power to rise above the ordinary, to awaken potential in themselves and the world around them. And as the stars shimmered above, Jonas knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity had taken its first step into a larger universe, guided by curiosity, morality, and ingenuity. The ranch, the valley, the core, and the construct were symbols of what humans could achieve when they embraced their greatest strengths. Jonas took a deep breath, feeling the hum of the core through the earth, and whispered to himself, "This is just the start. We are capable of so much more." For the first time, the rancher realized that he was not alone in the universe, and that humanity, through courage, intelligence, and morality, had the power to awaken forces that could shape worlds. The adventure was far from over, but the foundation had been laid, and the future bright, challenging, and extraordinary awaited.